Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Liz Loves Books. Today I'm going to be talking about my March TBR, and get a drink, get a snack, because this is going to be a slightly longer one because we are entering Realmathon and the Crucible. So every year, Covers with Cassidy over here on YouTube creates Realmathon. I believe this is her 5th year hosting it, and this year we are entering the Crucible. Now, this is a competitive team-based readathon. I have her channel linked down below, so you can go there if you would like to join. There are various different teams you can join, and other booktubers are hosts for the readathon, and I decided to join Team Mages, which are the team leads are on Monica's Shelves, who is a newer YouTuber that I really enjoy watching, as well as Gen C Reads. And each team has their own set of prompts where they can get bonus points. So my team's is a book with a school or academic setting and a book with foiling on the cover. So if I read any of the books I read over the month, if they have one of those things, I get an extra 10 points of positive points towards my team. Since this is competitive readathon, you can read for bonus points for your team, or you can read books to add negative points to another team. But the team prompts are always positive points towards your team. And this is a month-long readathon all throughout March. And basically, I just kind of took all the books that I either have priority to read in March or want to read in March, and I'm going to try to just see if they fit into a lot of these various prompts that Cassidy created. There's so many different prompts, and kind of just go from there, because I didn't want to stick to it and have it be too straight, because sometimes that just becomes too much. So I'm going to start off with just my priority reads. So I've got my 2 books a month that I'm attempting to read for the Boundless Book Club, which I've talked about in my other 2 TBRs. And it's always a fiction and a nonfiction. I've been kind of like 50-50 so far on them. I've DNF'd 2 out of the 4. And oddly enough, they were both the fiction books. So that's very interesting. But the first book that I'm hoping to try to read for the Boundless Book Club, hosted by The Story Ain't Over here on YouTube, on her bindery community, is Immaculate Conception by Ling Ling Huang. Now, this is like a horror sci-fi hybrid fiction book. Now, if you've been here a while, you know that me and sci-fi don't mesh well. Most of the time, I never finish them, and they're DNFs. I have DNF'd this author's debut book as well. So, I have the book out from the library. I'm going to try it out. We'll see if this fiction book is going to be the 3rd DNF. But that is the point of this book club, is to go outside of your comfort zone, not just with nonfiction, but other fiction genres and authors. So, the little bit of a synopsis of Immaculate Conception, it says, Enka meets Mathilde in art school and is instantly drawn to her. Mathilde makes art that feels truly original, and Enka, trying hard to prove herself in this fiercely competitive world, pours everything into their friendship. So, a little bit of a toxic friendship. That'll be cool and interesting. But when Mathilde's fame and success cause her to begin drifting away, Enka becomes desperate to keep her close. Enter Scaffold. Purported to enhance empathy, this cutting-edge technology could allow Enka to inhabit Mathilde's mind and access her memories, artistic inspirations, and trauma. Undergoing this procedure would link Enka and Mathilde forever, but at what cost? So this does sound really interesting, and Jenny's goal with the fiction and nonfiction book for each month is to connect them in some way with the theme. So the nonfiction book that I will be listening to is called The Empire of AI by Karen Howe. I'm afraid of this one because AI scares me and I don't like it. But I see how Immaculate Conception and Empire of AI go together, because you've got a character in Immaculate Conception undergoing like this medical like procedure to infiltrate somebody else's mind and kind of become like almost like a robot in a sense. And AI is a emotionless robot product that is being unnecessarily pushed on us every second of every day. So I am nervous about these books, but I am excited to try something new. And then I have my in-person book club. another book I am worried about because it's a sci-fi fiction book. And that is Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. Now, I have heard so many amazing things about this author and her writing. The small little description on Goodreads said, a novel of art, time travel, love, and plague that takes the reader from Vancouver Island in 1912 to a dark colony on the moon 500 years later, unfurling a story of humanity across centuries and space. So we're going to see how I'm going to do with all of this sci-fi. Oh, I'm so nervous. But those are just my 3 priority reads. So one book that has a little bit of foiling on the cover is This Woven Kingdom by Tahira Mafi. There's a little bit on the lettering. This is a fantasy with a romance subplot series. I have heard nothing but great things about this author and this book. But it does say this is also a Persian mythology-inspired fantasy series, which I've never read before. And I've heard so many good recommendations about this book, so I'm excited to try to get to Silver Cloak by L.K. Stephen. I have tried to read this before, and I just set it down. It just wasn't the right time to read it. This is the first book in a fantasy series, and this is also my buzzword book for March, which is hosted by Books and Lala. And it also kind of has like a school or academic setting, so this is a really potentially high points book. And the buzzword challenge for this one for March, I believe, is a person or like movement on the cover. Yes. And we got a character walking on here. So that is going to be another book that I'm hoping to read. I found that was on my February TBR that I didn't get to is The Scorpion and the Night Blossom by Emily Wenzel. This is a book 1 in a new series. It has trials and competitions. It has foiling on the cover, so that is why I picked this one, especially because I didn't read it in February. Another fantasy romance book. This is a Fairloot edition. It is stunning. The books I picked mainly is because they have a school or academic setting. The first book in the series would be a reread for me, and the second book came out in the... And that is the Immortal Dark series by Tigist Girma. These are the really pretty first print editions of the books. I listened to Immortal Dark when it came out in 2024, and I gave it 5 stars. The cover is really cool. This is basically like an academic school setting with vampires, but in a contemporary setting. And the sprayed edges here says no soul can enter without an invitation. And then I'm hoping if I reread that, then I can go right into the second book, which is Eternal Ruin. And it says love is the first enemy, death is the second. And another cool thing about this book series is our main characters are BIPOC characters. Our author, I believe, yeah, she is an Ethiopian writer, but she's based in Melbourne, Australia. So she's got a lot of like her own voices within these books as well. And I just think they are just absolutely stunning books. I'm really hoping to get to these. Another series, again, the first book I would need to reread and the second book has come out. I don't own the second book yet, but that is Heavenly Bodies by Imani Ariu. I got this for Christmas because I had read it from the library and then I didn't have my own copy, so I finally got one. And it also has foiling on the cover, so it would count for teen mages. And I want to reread this again so I can read the second book, Fallen Stars, which just came out. And I'm very intrigued to be able to reread this again because when I first started this, I wasn't very into it and I was thinking of DNFing it. And I was like, no, maybe just push through because I was intrigued enough by like the world itself, because the world basically follows like the idea of like the zodiac and star signs. So they've got like a whole zodiac thing in here. And so that's what kept me going. And then eventually I finished it and I like couldn't put this book down and I ended up giving it a 4-star. So I'm going to reread it and then hopefully be able to jump into Fallen Stars because then I can kind of continue on in series. I'm really, really bad about that. Then I also want to get to an arc that I have that's coming out on March 17th, and that is You Did Nothing Wrong by C.G. Drews. This is this author's adult debut horror book. As you know, if you've seen my channel before, my favorite book of last year was Don't Let the Forest In, their YA debut. And I've also read their other book, Hazelthorn, which I gave 4 stars, so they are becoming a favorite author. So I want to get that arc read and submitted on NetGalley. And it also kind of adds just a difference in books, because a lot of the books I've got in this TBR are like fantasy romance or fantasy books. So adding a little horror in there will be good. And those scary sci-fi books. And then another one that I'm hoping to just get to because I have been so intrigued by that is A Stage Set for Villains by Shannon J. Spann. This is her debut book. It's the first print edition, so it's got this really beautiful sprayed edges here. It's just a red cover, but the end papers are like a theater stage on each side. Most of my undergrad was voice and theater, so I feel like there's going to be a lot of things within this that I am going to relate to and love. But the other thing that's cool is the fantasy element of this. The prompt for it says Caraval meets One Dark Window in this lush and dark fantasy. Now, I loved the One Dark Window duology. I never have read Caraval. But a little small description of this just because I think it's so unique. It says, the gods are dead, all that's left are the players. The performers of the playhouse are as worshipped as they are feared, their enchanting shows bending hearts, minds, and even reality itself. Vicious, godlike, and lethal. 18-year-old Riven Hesper knows the dangers better than anyone after her own encounter with the player resulted in a curse that is slowly killing her. Two other books that I'm thinking of potentially reading, another nonfiction, and that is Know My Name by Chanel Miller. She is the girl that many years ago was essayed by Brock Turner, and they had that whole intense trial, and it was just a whole thing. So this is her memoir. And then The Empress by Kristen Cast. This is, I picked this up a while back because I used to devour and love this like early 2000s YA vampire series that was written by Kristen Cast and her mother PC Cast. And I saw that she came out with a series on her own. And I was like, oh, let's try it out. And the cover is really cool. And this was just this first edition spread edge. I think I don't remember what this book is about anymore. I just know it's a fantasy book. So we're going to try to see if we can read these as well. Okay, so that is so many books, and I know I will not read them all, but I like to have a pile of possibilities when I do readathons like this because, you know, you might find out you're reading one book that ends up having more prompts and more points that you can gain or take away from other teams, and it's just kind of fun to see where it goes. Some are more set in stone than others, but I've got so many options, and I'm really, really excited to participate in this readathon again, but I am really, really excited to hopefully read as many books as I can in March because February was a slower reading month for me and just not the best books. So if you guys would like to join, I put Cassie's channel down below in that video, and that's where all the signups and information are if you are interested in joining. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in another video soon. Bye, guys.